afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. At the age of 10, when other kids were memorizing cricket scores or movie dialogues, I was memorizing ECG patterns. Why? Because I had a hole in my heart. And that hole taught me everything I needed to know about resilience. Today, I stand before you, not just as a Toastmaster, but as someone who's faced the scalpel, the stigma, and the silence, and yet chosen to speak anyway. This story is not about recovery. It is a story of reclaiming my voice, my body, and my identity. It is a story of how pain, when processed, can become powerful. When you hear the word resilience, we often imagine superheroes or people who accomplish impossible feats. But sometimes, resilience is silent. It is the decision to keep going when no one is watching. To get out of bed on a tough day. To share a story even when your voice cracks. I got to learn that resilience is not about bouncing back. It is about moving forward even when the ground beneath you has shifted. And more than often, the journey of resilience does not begin with strength. It starts with vulnerability, with fear, with asking for help. It was called atrial septal defect, a fancy term for a hole in the heart. The doctors told my parents that it was life-threatening and it needed to be operated as soon as possible. I remember the hospital corridors more than my school playground, the needles more than the crayons. I still recall the smell of the hospital, the constant beeping of the monitor, and the look on my mother's face, calm on the outside, but worried on the inside. The surgery happened. It was successful, but the world did not let me forget it. For years, I was labeled the fragile one. No running, no pee, no excitement. At every birthday party I went, my friends' parents would look at me with caution. Don't let her jump too much, they would say. I became a stranger to my own body. I remember being asked to stay out during sports day. I did not know what hurt me more, the scar on my chest or the one on my spirit. And at every school group picture, when other kids proudly pinned their medals to the uniform, I had a doctor's note tucked into my pocket. In a world that glorifies athleticism and physical powers, being told that your body is weak, that you are limited, seeps into the mind. It casts a dark cloud over what you think you can really do. But then something inside me, call it stubbornness, call it survival, refused to accept that this would define me. I wanted more. I wanted life, not just to live, but thrive. So I started small things, literally. Short walks to the neighborhood parks, gentle stretches in the morning, nothing too fancy, just movement, just breath, just me. I remember the first time I completed a 3K charity walk. No medal, no limelight. But in that win, I proved something to myself. I am more than my diagnosis. I started finding other things that brought me joy without judgment, like dancing at home to the 90s music, joining laughter yoga sessions because everyone looked silly so it was easy to blend in, learning breathing techniques to help me calm my nerves. This was not about transformation. It was about reconnecting with my body, with my energy, with a belief that I could feel whole again. Fast forward to adulthood. I was working, living on my own, successful on the outside. But deep inside, I was hollow. Depression had crept in silently. There were days that I did not want to get out of bed, days that I did not want to be seen, nights that I could not sleep. The smile was there on my face, yes, but it was on autopilot. People came up to me and said, "You are so strong, you have faced so much in your life." But inside, I felt weak. I felt like a fraud. There is this one time in my life that I do not like to revisit. But today I will. Because perhaps someone here might just need to hear it. I attempted to take my own life. But I survived. I got help. Therapy, support, healing. I remember sitting right across my therapist. I was skeptical, silent. But over the weeks and months, that silence broke into words, and words turned into healing. Therapy was no miracle cure, but it was a mirror that helped me confront parts of me that I lay hidden. It taught me that seeking help is not weakness, it is wisdom. There was this one exercise that I had to do. Write a letter to my younger self. I wrote, "You are not broken. You are beautifully complex." This letter was a turning point towards my healing. I began naming my emotions. I started sitting with sadness. I started to welcome discomfort. I learned to breathe with pain. They may sound small, but for me, they were milestones. I also learned to celebrate every small wins. Brushing my hair, taking a shower, opening the window. And each act I did became a declaration. I chose life. It was during this healing that I found Toastmasters, or perhaps Toastmasters found me. My first speech, I was trembling. Not because of the audience, but because I was letting my voice out after years of silence. Every speech I gave stitched a tone part of me. From icebreaker to table topics to division level contests, I was reclaiming myself word by word. I remember the first time someone came up to me and said, "Your story made me feel less alone." That was the moment I realized the power of speaking. I began mentoring new members, visiting different clubs. I even started coaching people who had anxiety about public speaking. The more I gave, the more I healed. Toastmasters became a mirror, a microphone, a magnifier. It mirrored my growth, it amplified my voice, and it magnified my purpose. Whatever I learned on stage, I soon began applying it to my life off stage. Better hearing, systematic thinking, empathetic feedback. Toastmasters did not just teach me speaking skills, it taught me life skills. And it gave me a safe space, a rehearsal room, not just for my speeches, but for my courage. Let me share with you the 3 R's that helped rebuild my life. First one, reflect. I stopped running away from pain and started naming them. Acceptance is the first step towards recovery. For me, it meant sitting with my journal and writing down everything that I was afraid to speak out loud. I created a daily ritual, 15 minutes every morning with a cup of coffee and my thoughts. Some reflections were light, like what made me smile today. Others heavier, unspoken words, unresolved anger, but all of them were necessary. Second, reframe. I stopped asking why me and started saying, what now? That question helped me. It moved me from victimhood to agency. It changed the dynamics from being a person broken to being in repair. I started looking at setbacks as setups towards something better in life. I reframed my silence as space, loneliness as freedom. Reframing does not mean denying pain. It only means that you're placing it in a new light. For instance, I reframed my scar as a symbol not of weakness, not of damage, but that of survival. And third one, rise. I took action. I got help. I began speaking. I volunteered. I mentored people with mental health issues. I found purpose in my pain. I no longer just survived my story, I started using it. To rise is to risk, to try again, to apply for that new job, to register for that course, to raise your hand, and yes, to speak. Every time I share this story, I rise. And every time you hear this, you rise with me. You know, I used to be envious of people who used to glide their life effortlessly. No health issues, no emotional setbacks, no public panic attacks. But then I realized something. It is not the absence of hardships that builds a person's character. It is the response to it. So if you are struggling silently, if you have kept moving despite no one cheering you on, know this. Your story has weight. Your survival is not a footnote. It is the headline. You are the hero of your own narrative. And sometimes being your own hero simply means staying put, even when leaving feels easier. These 3 R's does not erase pain, but it helps us to rise above it. And they're not just for the big traumas. They work for daily setbacks too. Lost a job? Reflect. Relationship ended? Reframe. Starting again? Rise. When life presses pause, press play. Not fast forward, not rewind, just play. Resilience is built in the daily decisions to try, to trust, to talk. And know this, every chapter that you survive becomes a paragraph in someone else's survival manual. Maybe you have not had a heart surgery. Maybe you have not battled depression. But for a fact, I know that each one of us has gone through something in our life that has troubled us. A struggle, a rejection, a failure. Resilience is not about being fearless. It is about showing up despite the fear and moving forward. So what is your scar? What is that one chapter in your life that you do not want to revisit? Perhaps that might be the source of your greatest strength. So take a moment. Think of that one challenge that shook you but did not break you. You are here. You survived. That's resilience. So I invite each one of you to write your own 3 R's. Reflect on something that hurt you. Reframe what it taught you and rise by sharing it with someone else. This journey is not a journey which is easy. But every time you take this journey, it will only make you strong. It will only make you brave. And that is the power of just moving forward. Resilience is built in the daily living, in each breath, each step, each story. Even if one of you leaves this room feeling braver to face your past, then this story has done its job. I started with a hole in my heart, but today I filled rooms with words. I want you all to do that same. Speak up, speak loud, be proud of who you are. My story is not unique, but it is mine. I own every scar, every stumble, every silence I broke. Your scar is not your shame, it is your stage. So own the stage, come up, speak up, and remember the power of speaking, because when you speak, someone else feels seen. And that, my friends, is how we all rise together.